Hi, I want to take a few moments just to share from my heart. We're in the midst of an incredible storm right now. I think many of us were hoping that this would be a sprint at worst, a short duration that we would have to muster up the strength to somehow get through, but it would be over quickly. I think we all realize from the news reports that the COVID-19 crisis, this global pandemic, is much more than a sprint. It's a marathon. As I was thinking about that and all that is going on around me, I was mindful that my life hasn't changed all that much. Oh, it's true that, well, I haven't yet experienced an empty sanctuary. That will come this Sunday. And it's true that I haven't been able to get into the hospitals or nursing homes to visit with people as I often do. But for the most part, my day-to-day routines remain very much the same. I get up in the morning, get ready for the day, do my devotions, spend time in prayer, head into one of my two offices. What I've learned actually is that both my role as pastor and president of Berkshire are essential. So I am able to travel back and forth and continue to perform those normal routines. The realization, of course, is that for many, this pandemic has altered their lives, perhaps for some of them on a permanent basis, although that remains to be seen. Nonetheless, as I was pondering my struggles in the midst of all that is going on, I realized that I was not looking at this from the right perspective. When I was thinking that my world is relatively unchanged, I was really erroneous in that way of thinking, because in all honesty, every one of us is in the boat in the midst of this storm. It reminds me of a painting that was done by Rembrandt. Many centuries ago, the famous artist Rembrandt painted a scene capturing in his unique way an image that is really indelibly printed on our minds when we see it. In some ways, it's almost haunting. It's called The Storm on the Sea of Galilee. And this particular painting is rather interesting because it shows the disciples in the boat, captures the scene from Mark chapter 4, when Jesus, after ministering to people throughout the day, when evening had come, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's go across the other side of the sea." And so they left the crowds behind, and with his disciples, Jesus went across the Sea of Galilee. And while they were traveling and other boats were with him, a great windstorm arose. Mark tells us that the waves were breaking into the boat, and the boat was actually filling with water. Talk about a scary situation. But Jesus, in the boat with his disciples, was actually asleep. Well, the disciples were panicked, and they woke him. And Mark captures their question, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And I think that in some ways, for me, it's, well, I don't feel like I'm so adversely affected by this great storm that I'm fearful of it. But I know that there are others who are in the midst of it, those who are on the front lines, nurses and doctors and EMTs and police and fire personnel, and they're risking their very lives for the sake of helping others. And then I'm mindful of those whose lives have been impacted because their loved ones are in hospitals and they can't visit them. Their loved ones have died, and their hearts are broken. And I'm mindful that that those people probably feel like the disciples in the boat. Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? And Jesus, having been awoken by his disciples, did something incredibly amazing. He spoke to the wind and to the sea in the midst of the storm, and he said, "Peace, be still." And Mark tells us that the wind ceased and there was a great calm. It's incredible. I think all of us would love for us to see the storm with its raging seas and wind come to an abrupt end, longing for the peace that we would desire. Jesus, after he calmed those winds and seas, said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And then Mark says this, "And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, 'Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?'" Rembrandt's painting is so powerful because it shows a picture of everyone in the boat at the same time. In fact, Rembrandt even painted himself in that boat, as he customarily painted himself in all of his works. And what we see, I believe, is that Rembrandt is setting an example for us to find ourselves in the midst of life's storms, to see where we are. Some are going about their routines, even though the storm is raging, seemingly unaffected, and others are clinging to anything that they can, holding on for dear life. And in the midst of this scene, there's Jesus asleep. Asleep not because he's indifferent, asleep not because he doesn't care, but asleep because he has a peace that guards his heart and a peace that guards his mind. A peace that he longs to bring to each and every one of us. It's my sincere prayer that wherever you are in the midst of this storm, that you will find your peace, not in the promise of the soon end of this pandemic, because it may continue on for many more weeks to come. Not in a peace that somehow blindly closes your eye to the reality that others are experiencing because it's not affecting you in the same way. No, a peace that truly guards your heart and your mind, a peace that passes all understanding, because you have placed your faith and trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, who is with you and who's promised to never leave you. So reach out to him today, and please know that Pastor Josh and I are certainly very happy to help you, talk with you, pray with you. Give us a call. We'd love to have an opportunity to connect with you in that way, and there are others who are praying for you on a regular basis. And we're working to connect our church body as best we can as a community of faith, that we will be tied in to each other and encourage others to be connected as well. So stay tuned for more details. We'll be live streaming our service again this Sunday morning at 9:30. We're looking at other ways in which we can connect individuals who do not have computer access, and we're providing a way that individuals can call in by telephone and listen to the service that way. And there are more details that will come out today via email and telephone. May the Lord continue to bless you with his wonderful peace as you place your faith and your trust in him. May God bless you and keep you in his wonderful care.